Hey guys, good morning. How are you doing today? I can see very less people have joined today. Is there any off or what? Can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Now can you hear me? Very less people have joined. Like, just wait for 2, 3 more minutes. If you have any questions, meanwhile, you can ask me. I hope you have the access to these notes. I will reshare it with you guys once. I will share this complete link. Keep revising them. Okay. Yes, I've shared it with you guys. Please have a look at it. Instance snapshot will create automatically when we create instance. Is it true? You can configure for a snapshot to create at a regular intervals. So this statement is actually false, but you can configure it. If you want to configure that after machine is getting created up, like after a minute of a machine getting created up, that also can be done. But generally, we do not do it in that way because what you will do with a blank snapshot, right? So generally what we do is like every day at 6 p.m. or 10 a.m. we can schedule the snapshot creation, Srinivas. So we can automate that part. Okay. Very less people have joined, but I think we can start it off now. Now I'm going to talk about the DynamoDB. What was DynamoDB? I've explained it in the previous class on Friday. What is a DynamoDB? Guys, please answer that. It's a It is a fully managed no SQL database. Fully managed means AWS managed. It is fully managed no SQL database service provided by AWS. Okay. It is designed to handle high performance application It is basically designed. I think in the previous class, MySQL and Windows machine is not completed. No, Rahul, it was completed. We were able to deploy and connect to the machine. Okay. We were able to deploy and connect to the machine. Then only I have given the notes. Every time after a completion of a topic, I then share the notes. Yes, it was completed. Yeah, yeah. I know that. I remember it thoroughly. But just check the notes. If you still feel that there is something which is incomplete, please do let me know. I will complete that part. If you feel that something is missing out. Okay. But some things I need to show it to you in RDS, which we will cover little later on. Okay. Now, we have a DynamoDB. It is designed to handle. It is designed to handle high performance application, high performance application that requires low latency and high scalability. Low latency and high scalability. Okay. Now here in DynamoDB, we use or we have the table, we have the data stored in rows and columns only, in rows and columns, which is tables. But the structure is not fixed. But the structure, which is schema. In the case of relation, the schema was fixed, but structure is not fixed. Overall, the structure of my database is not at all fixed in in the case of DynamoDB. So we have tables. Okay, so data in the DynamoDB is organized in tables. Okay, and so we have the tables, let's say serial number, name, let's say age. Okay, we have this table. Let's say we have some entry. Now this is an item. Individual items are there. Okay. Now, sorry, the individual data item, this complete data item, 1 John 60 is an item. So we have items. What is an item is? An item is a single data, is a single data entry. Okay, it is a single data entry in a table. Okay, and is similar to a row. Okay, in a relation database. We have items. Okay. So also, we need to have a primary key, which is the primary key. Primary key is basically each item in the table is uniquely or is identified uniquely by the primary key itself. So we need to have a primary key, need to have a primary key, which is a unique key. Okay. A primary key, which is unique key. some unique number should need to be there, which is unique key in database. If a new entry comes up that, okay, second, okay, Aman, age is 50, and then occupation, a new column would be added up, let's say business. Automatic, the structure is not fixed. The structure, this total overall structure of the table is not fixed. Unlike relation database, it was fixed. But in the case of DynamoDB, the overall structure of the database is not fixed. Okay, hope you got it till this point. Now let's do the lab. Now, which lab we are going to do? So when we were working for Netflix, okay. So what used to happen was for the US customers, okay, there was a campaign which used to run every year during Christmas time, wherein we run a simple page where we ask like best details about the or what do you know about Netflix kind of a quiz, wherein let's say it will ask you which series you like, and then the person will be have to put the maximum details about that series within a 2-minute range. Let's say um the character's name, seasons, number of episodes, which episode you like the most, what happened. So every detail the person used to write, and it should be like some people were able to write only 1 or 2 details, some people were able to write 100 details. So data was not fixed. So people keep adding up. The, the number of columns keep adding up. And at the last, we used to show the leaderboard also. Leaderboard also. In the leaderboard, we used to show the result that Akshat were able to put 10 details about this basic this season or this particular web series. In that way, we take out the top 10 people. Now, how we actually show the leaderboard and how where we put this data? Relation database is not possible because structure is not fixed. So we used to put it in DynamoDB. This complete was running on a EC2 machine. This setup used to run on a EC2 machine. We used to write it on the DynamoDB, and also we used to read it from the DynamoDB itself. So we used to perform read and write operation on the DynamoDB. So we have a EC2 machine wherein people, okay, people are putting or adding up the dynamic content. Dynamic content means the table size is not limited, right? How can you define the table size? You're getting my point. What is dynamic is tomorrow, let's say Akshat is filling up the details. Akshat is only able to put 2 data. Next person come up, he put 3 datas. Now the schema is not fixed in the case of DynamoDB, whereas schema was fixed in the case of RDS. Either you need to create hundreds of column, which will unnecessarily be blank for you. And in RDS, blank column will also occupy some storage for you. But here it will be null entries. Like say there is no entry in the remaining columns, so it will be considered null entry. Null means zero size. Okay. So that's the reason I should be using it, because it is possible now that someone is putting 100 entries in 1 or 2 minutes. Other one is only able to put one entry in 1 or 2 minutes. So, okay, you got it right. One of you asking, Gopal, you got it right here. So we have a EC2 machine wherein people are adding up the dynamic content from the website. Okay. From the website, which is getting saved, which is getting saved in DynamoDB. And we should also be able to do read operations from the DynamoDB. We should be able to perform the read operations on the DynamoDB, in this particular DynamoDB database. This is what we are doing. We are going to do. So how we can do it? You can take a note of it once. Now I will go to DynamoDB, which is a non-relational database, okay, which is a managed NoSQL database. Here we will be creating a table. Okay. We create a table here. Already some tables have been created up. I will delete them. So first of all, the table is a regional service. It will be created on a specific region. I will go to the DynamoDB first of all. And there I will be going to the tables and I will create a new table. So we will go and search for DynamoDB, go to the tables and we will create a table. Okay, fine. Let's do that. Create a table. Now here the table name would be coming up. Now table name would be like, for example, like any table. Okay. So let's say my new table. Any table name you can get created, or production, Netflix. Okay, some Jira ID would be there. Some ID which is being assigned, my work ID which is being assigned. I can just simply put it. Okay. Yeah. In the case of DynamoDB, only the table, only single table is there. You don't have multiple tables also. So it's not like we are creating a database and then the tables. It's just a single table, because the table structure is not fixed. No? So you can mold it in the way you want. So since it's not a proper, there is no structure as such. It's an unstructured database. So I don't have to manage multiple tables here in this case. So you can give any name in the table name. We can give any table name, any specific table name can be taken care of. Now we have a partition key and we have a sort key. Now what is a partition key is? Partition key is basically, I can say, it is a simple primary key made up of just one attribute. It is a single primary key made up of, okay, it is a single primary key made up of just one attribute. Okay. Whereas we have a sort key. Partition, the primary key I was talking about is there. I will explain you separately also, but yes, we do have a partition key and a sort key. Okay. So what does it do is, it is basically I guess it's a composite primary key, okay, that uses two attributes. That uses two attributes. Okay. The partition key determines the partition, and the sort key organize the data within that partition. The partition key okay, it's like a primary key. It's a unique keys which are there. I can say it's a unique keys which are there. Okay. So partition key will determine the partition, and sort key will organize the data. I will explain you, but just write it down once. Organizes the data within partition. Okay. Let me explain you. Let's take an example. Okay. Let me explain you with an example. Let's say you have a school data. Okay. Let's say we have a school student database. These are the part of SQL. Okay. These things are part of completely of SQL. Now we have a table name with a name. Let's say we have table with the name students. Okay. Wherein we have the student ID, which is there in that table. We have, let's say, class year, which is there. We have name, which is there. We have grade, which is there, and section, which is there. Let's say student ID is S001, class year 2023, name is Alice. Okay, 5, section A. I have another student. Okay, another student ID is 5001. Okay, she's also Alice, same student only, but last year she was in grade 4 and her section was A. I have another student S002. It's like Bob, grade is 5, section is B. S003, we have, let's say 2023, we have Charlie, 6A. We have S004, where in 2002, 22, we have David, let's say, grade is 4 and section is B. Again, in S004, in 2023, we have again David, same student only, ID is same, 5 and section is was A, let's say. So what is happening is, if you look at very closely, this is my partition key. Okay. Now this is my partition key, which is the student ID here. Otherwise, partition key should be unique. If you are not using the sort key, no, this will act as a sort key. This will be sort key. If I'm not using the partition, if I'm not using the sort key, in that case, partition key should be unique, which means I cannot have another S001 or S004. It's a unique key. But if I'm using a sort key with it, okay. So in that case, what happens is, or what is exactly the partition key you will see is, it's a unique identifier. So if I just say, if I don't have to manage it in the class here, let's say S001, student data is there, LS5A. Okay. S002, Bob, 5B. S003, Charlie, 6A. S004, David, 5A. Now okay, or even I'm not putting it, this thing. Okay, this is a student data, which is unique data, which is a primary key. I cannot have, which is a primary key. I cannot have S001 again. But let's say you have another data coming up, which says that, okay, I have to put up the student current grade as well, whatever it is, and their sections as well. But now again a new entry comes up, which says that in last year is also added up, student ID is also added up. I cannot add it up here because again the same ID will be coming up. So in that case, I have to add up a sort key. So a partition key is being sorted via a sort key. So if you look at it, we have a partition key which is coming up here. So if you look at it, we have a partition key, which is a unique key, which is a primary key. And this basically, this partition this student ID has two sort keys. So this ID is divided into two sort keys. So S001 has two datas inside it. And whatever the data is there, separately it can be defined. Similarly, for S002, I just have one data. For S003, I just have one data. For S004, I have two data. So you are understanding my point, right? So S004, it is a primary key, which is a partition key, and it is being sorted in two ways. But this now with this, I can have multiple. If I'm using a sort key, then I can have multiple primary keys here. I can repeat it. Otherwise, you cannot repeat it. You cannot have two primary keys or partition keys with the same ID. But if you're using it, you can have it in this way. But you cannot have it in this way. You cannot have another entry as 004 and this cannot be common. You cannot have both the entries as like not a unique entry. So it should be unique. The combination should be unique. S001 2023 unique. S001 2022 unique. These two are unique entries. Okay. You're getting my point, right? This earlier, if you're not using sort key, then this primary key should be unique. But now the combination need to be unique. So if you in any data you want to do or you want to sort something in that data, you have multiple things coming up in that data, then you will be saying that it's a sort key. Are you understanding? Please confirm yes or no. Okay. I think every one of you have understood. Fine. This is where the primary key and the sort key will play a role. For now, I will just put ID. I'm not putting any sort key. Now, in the default settings, I will show you customized setting what exactly happens. But we have like in DynamoDB, there is two things you need to use. You need to pay in the DynamoDB. We need to pay for read and write. For both, we need to pay. But for writing, you need to pay a very huge amount. You need to pay a very huge amount. Whereas in the reading, there's a nominal amount you need to pay when you read some data. But when you write some data, it's a very huge amount which you need to pay. Now, I will show you in the custom setting that we do have some table class we have provision. Okay. But I want to tell you what is RCU and WCU here. It will be there in the custom settings also. But what exactly are these? Let me tell you. So when you see read capacity unit, okay. So RCU is basically a read capacity unit. What is a read capacity unit? It's how many data okay. It's how much data can we read, how much, or I will just show you from inside only. So we have the customized settings. Okay. So we have a dynamo, like when I'm selecting this, the custom settings, I will see there is a DynamoDB standard and DynamoDB IA. Can you tell me what is standard and what is IA? We have been doing it from beginning now. We're doing it from the beginning now. Can you tell me what is exactly the standard one and standard IA? Standard is normal storage, wherein you have a lot of read and write. Okay. The charges for read is little more, or saving the data, reading the data is little more. Here, you will keep your data. You will keep your data, which you will not access frequently. Okay. Reading cost. Reading the data cost is very high, or accessing the data cost is very high. Here, accessing the data cost is low. Okay. Okay. But like which you don't access it very frequently. The entries which you are not accessing very frequently is infrequent access. IA means infrequent, something which we are not accessing frequently. So you can select as per your need and the requirement. If in a project you know that your data will not be regularly accessed, it's just a one-time data you are building it up, and later on for any specific purpose you will want to use it, you can go for standard IA. Now, when you go to the capacity calculator, there is okay. You will see there is a average item size is a normal, like I can say the average minimum size. of a single item. So it's the average minimum size of a single item, like single entry, I can say. In easy words, it's an entry. So what is a minimum size? It's like 1 KB is a minimum size of a single item. Item read per second. This is known as RCU, read capacity unit. Read capacity unit. I'm teaching you at a AWS developer. This is all these things which I'm telling you right now. It is not a part of solution architect, but at a developer level. Only basic of Dynamo is there, but I'm just picking up that particular topic in detail. So RCU basically, what does the RCU defines? RCU defines the number of consistent read per second your table can handle. It defines number of reads per second your table can handle. Actually, it can auto scale, but still, that is what an RCU means. Okay. The RCU cost will completely depend, which is read capacity unit, cost will depend on the size of item being read and the type of read you perform. Okay. Now, when we have a read type, there is, you will see, we have read types which is there. One is strongly consistent, transactional. So these things you will see. Okay. So I will just go to this screen once. We have RCU, which means in this we have read capacity unit, which means it will define the number of reads per second on your table can handle. Now, I'm not writing it again. Please, if you're making the notes, please you can just please take it in a proper way. Now, when I say the types of read which we have, because it's completely dependent on the type of this RCU cost will be completely dependent on the type of read which we are using. So you will see, and here also you will see that. First, let me show you. Here also you will see that we have read consistency is there. Okay. So my cost will depend on that read consistency, that what exactly type of reads which we have. So the first read type which we have is strongly consistent. Strongly consistent read. Okay. So in the strongly consistent read, it guarantees that you will get most up-to-date data after the write operation. So it guarantees a strongly consistent read, guarantees that you will always get the most up-to-date data after a write operation. Okay. So here we are using one RCU. Okay, one RCU, which means it will allow reading up to 4 KB of data per second in strongly consistent read. So your data size should be little smaller. Okay, data which is being coming to you should be really smaller in the case of when you're using this strongly consistent read. There's another one which is there, which is eventually consistent read. Second one which comes up is eventually consistent read. Now, what is a eventually consistent read means? Eventually consistent read is it's one of the default read option. It may return the stale data, but ensures consistency after a short delay. So this is the default. Sometimes you might have seen data updates take some time. Let's say you have put up an entry and it takes some time to show up that entry on the table. If you're displaying that data also. In such kind of things, basically they're using eventually consistent data. This is a default read option. It may return stale, which is old data, but ensure consistency after a short delay within a second. Okay, it consumes half the RCU of strongly. It consumes like it will bill you half the amount. Earlier, the reading cost is coming as $100. Now, in the case of eventually consistent data, the billing would be just half. So it consumes half the RCU of strongly consistent read. Okay. So take a note of it. So here you can read up to 8 KB of data. Okay, if you're reading 8 KB, which is really huge data of data, then you will be costing the same amount which here it was costing you. 4 will cost you half the amount. Okay. Are you able to understand it? Yes or no? These two things. Third one is also there, which is the transactional data. Please take a note of it. It's just the things which you should be keeping in your mind. Okay. Normally, I can say 90% of the times you will be using eventually consistent only because the delay is like we are saying it as a delay, but 1 second delay is not something which a human can actually identify also. 1 second gone. Before I was able to complete that 1 second word, 1 second was over. So just think of it. It's not something which is really need to worry about. So, and most of the time when you will work in the real time, you will identify the only thing which matters in the industry. Only thing which matters in the industry is money. Money. That's the thing which matters. No one actually care about any security until issue comes up. No one takes care about your database. No one takes care about your systems. Nothing. No, really, I'm telling you this thing. Whatever you build up, you take 2 months also to design the complete scenarios. And later on, the client will come up here. You are giving us a billable of $500 a month. Can we reduce to $100? So it's always better to give more initially to client and then reduce it from there because your client always will come to you. Okay. Eventually, consistent will read, no, it will read up to 8 KB of data. Okay. For let's say for $1 spent, earlier I was able to do 4 KB. Here it can do 8 KB of data. So I can say one read capacity unit, it allows reading up to 8 KB of data per second. Amount is just double. No, pricing is reduced. Pricing is half. Okay. Because like here, one RCU is equivalent to half RCU here. I'm deleting it now. The third thing which comes up, I'm deleting it now. Please take a screenshot, or if you're writing it, please write it fast. Okay. The third thing which comes up is a transactional read. Spelling wrong, right? Transactional. I think it's correct. Transaction read. The third thing is transaction read. It guarantees strongly consistent data. Consistent read across multiple items and is used in transaction. Okay, so if whenever you are setting up some transaction data and you are using, okay, we generally go for relation database only there, but let's suppose if for any specific transaction you are using this DynamoDB, then it is always considered, or it should always, you should be going with a transaction read only, which is similar to strongly a consistent read. Okay, so it gives you strongly consistent read only. It is same as that, but for transactional data, we go for this transactional read only. So one RCU here, it is similar to strongly read. It allows reading up to 4 KB of data per second in transactional transactional transactional. I'm really bad at spelling. Transactional read. Okay. So it allows reading up to 4 KB of data per second in the transaction read, which is same as, okay, strongly consistent read. Okay. Take a note of it, please. Okay. Now, if you come up here, you will see item read per second. How many items you can read per second? Item write per second. Item write per second means, okay, how many, or what basically do, it defines the number of writes, how many input or how many data you can put inside this particular table. So it defines how many writes. It defines the number of writes per second. Okay, your table can handle. Number of writes per table, your table can handle. Okay, and here one WCU, it allows writing up to 1 KB of data. You can write up to 1 kilobyte of data, which is there. Okay, cost will completely dependent on that. Let's say, if I increase the number of write, you will see increase there. If I increase read, it will not make a much difference. Let's say if I increase 1 0, you will see here amount is almost multiplied by 10 times. But if you increase 1 0 here, the amount is really reduced very less compared to it. You can see how much 488, 531. But if I put 0 here, it's 4000 multiplied by 10. So writing is very, very costly compared to read operations. I can change it, and that will also be costing me, or the difference in the amount will be start coming up for me. Okay. But for now, I will be going with the eventually consistent, which is being considered as a default only. I will actually not be using it. I will be going with the default settings only here. I just wanted to explain to you the custom settings. That's the reason why I came up here. Now we have provision. We have a capacity mode. Now with the name itself, what do you think? What is a capacity mode? What is a capacity meaning normally? Size. Yes. Okay. So it basically read and write capacity. It defines the how much throughput. It will define how much throughput your tables can handle. Your tables can handle is what is being defined in the this read and write capacity settings. So there you will see there is two types of setting. One is a provision setting and one is a on-demand setting. Now provision settings, you specify the number of read capacity unit and write capacity unit. You specify the number of, see, maximum and minimum. All those things you are going to define it. Yeah, see, you are going to define it. So when you are using the provisioned one, you are going to provision it. When you are using on demand, it will be completely defined by AWS itself. So you will specify the number of RCUs, read capacity units, RCUs, when it is auto scale, and WCUs, which is write capacity unit. Okay. So this mode, it is best suited when we have the predictable traffic and predictable traffic, you know that these many read capacity unit or write capacity unit will be coming up for me. So I can provision it. Okay. But I really do not find any reason why they have even put the provisioning if on demand can do the same thing for you and at the same pricing itself. Okay. So we have on demand. So on demand, basically, on demand automatically scales to accommodate your application traffic without you to set having to set RCU and WCU. Okay. This is idle for the application, like any application, Netflix, if you pick it up, the Uber, they don't have predictable traffic. Okay. So this mode is idle for application with unpredictable app with unpredictable or spiky traffic. Okay, we have two kinds of traffic. Okay. So here in the on demand, you will be paid, you are going to pay for read as well as write. Here also you are going to pay for read and write. So there is no much difference which will come up. Please take a note of it. If you are not able to read anything because of my handwriting, do let me know. I will read it out for you. It's RCU. Take a note of it, guys. You will not find these notes anywhere. You will find it in very difficult language, which is really difficult to understand. Now, estimated read and write cost, it is showing you that what would be my estimated read and write cost. Now, there is a delete protection which is there. Now, what is this delete protection which you will see here is, it basically avoids accidental deletion, avoid accidental deletion of your DynamoDB. If you enable it, so remember it, you can enable, there's an option of enabling the accidental deletion policy also. Okay. So if you enable it, then if I will try to delete the DynamoDB table, it will give me an error. I will just enable it and I will show you. For now, I will just scroll down and I will create a table. Now, if I try to delete that table, since I've enabled the, oh, okay. Okay, since I've created this table, if I try to delete it, let it create, then I will show you. If I try to delete this table, it will give me an error message. See, to delete this table, you must turn off the delete protection. I will delete it because I have used some. So now unwanted settings in this. So turn off the delete protection. Now I have turned it off. Now you can understand, no, someone who is deleting this table is doing it intentionally. First, that person is turning off the delete protection, now then deleting it. Okay. Now if I write confirm, we can confirm it from here. Delete. You are understanding, please say yes or no, guys. Okay. Let's have a break now and let's meet after the break. Okay, guys, welcome back. Welcome back, guys. Now, I'll just create the table again. I've deleted it. Okay, in the partition key, let's say I will say serial number. Anything I can select it in the partition key. No other changes to be done, and I will create the table. I will give you the notes, nothing to worry about there. You cannot hear me? You cannot hear me? Audible, right? Fine, fine. Now, this is the table which is there. Okay. When you get inside the table, give me a minute. I will check if there is an issue with my internet. Okay. I hope you can hear me. Yes. Now, here, the serial number is there. It is provisioned. All the matrices you can see in here. For now, I will be just going to the explore item first of all. And here I can see when I run it, I will see that the items is there is no item which is there. Let's create a new item. Let's say from manually, but I will be showing you how you can connect it from the EC2 machine also and do a read and write operations here as well. So I will create a I will just create an item. Let's say, see, serial number is already there, which is a partition key. It is mandatory to have that serial number. Let's say 1. I can add an attribute. Let's say I want to add a string. Then I can add up a string. I want to add some number. I can add up a number. I want to add some Boolean values. I can do that. I want to add some binary values. I can do that. I want to add some null values. I want to add some string values. Okay. I want to add some number sets, list, map. All these things I can actually add it up. But for now, I will be just adding up a string, which says, like the name of the web series is, let's say, Big Bang Theory. Okay. Then I will have a number, let's say season, 10. 10 seasons we have. So you can create it in a form and you can also write it in the JSON format as well. This is a JSON format. You can write it in the form as well. You can add as many attributes as you want. And if you scroll down, submit, you will see this data is there now. And when I say the structure is not fixed, let's suppose I have another entry coming up, which is string. Let's say name is friends. Okay. Add a new attribute. Let's suppose here I will say episode 102. Let's say and create it. Now this is a new entry, but it will accept it here. You will see episode, it was blank. In the case of Big Bang Theory, And seasons is blank in the case of Friends. But in the Big Bang Theory, the seasons is there. These are the name of the some web series present on the Netflix. So it is like you can say schema is not fixed. The structure of the table is not being fixed as well. Okay. Now the question is, I have a DynamoDB, but ultimately I have an application running up in the front end in some EC2 machine. So I have a DynamoDB and I have an application running on the EC2 machine. Application running on the EC2 machine. I want to do a read and write operations. Read and write operations onto this DynamoDB. For that, we will create an EC2 machine. Okay. So for this to happen, we will create an EC2 machine. Create an EC2 machine. We will create a DynamoDB. Okay. We will create an IAM role. And give access to the we'll create an IAM role. Create an IAM role and give the access to the IAM role for EC2 machine and give the permission to for EC2 machine and give permission to access the DynamoDB. Give permissions to access DynamoDB. Okay. Now, so we will create an EC2 machine. We will create an IAM role for EC2 machine and give permission to access the DynamoDB. We will now, okay, access the DynamoDB by running some set of commands via AWS CLI. We have to use AWS command line interface. If you are using Amazon Linux, this AWS CLI comes pre-installed. Okay. But if you are using Ubuntu, you need to install, or Ubuntu or any other operating system, you need to install it. So AWS CLI comes pre-installed in Amazon Linux AMI. But others, you need to install it. For others, you need to install this particular system or setup. Now, let's see how we can work with it. So we will go to EC2. We will go to the instances. Here I will put the name. Let's say my Netflix secondary machine. Okay, I will be scrolling down. Let's use Ubuntu only. Instance type T2 micro is fine. Key pair, I can create a new key pair. I can create or select the existing key pair as well. Scroll down. I will allow HTTP. HTTP is required to install the AWS CLI. I have to install AWS CLI in this machine. SSH will allow me to enter inside the machine. One machine is more than sufficient. I will just simply launch that machine. So we have launched the machine. Okay. Now, this is a machine which is running up. From this machine, I'm going to do read and write operation on the DynamoDB. But I need to first create an IAM role, wherein I will give the EC2 the permission to access the DynamoDB. So we will go to the IAM role here. Go to the IAM. Okay. Go to the roles. We will create a role. So we are going to go to IAM. We are going to create a IAM roles. So we are going to create an IAM role for EC2. Okay, we are going to create an IAM role for EC2. I will go to IAM. I will go to roles and I'm going to create an IAM role for the EC2 machine. And when I click on next, it will ask me for the permission. I will give DynamoDB read and write permission. Now, what access I need to provide? I need to give DynamoDB read and or full access will give the write access or read access as well. So if you just want to give the read access, you don't want to write anything, then you can only give the read access. But if you want to read and write both, okay, then you will give the full access in that case. Full will cover read and write both for you. So I will give the full access. So I'm creating a role and then I'm going to attach that role to the EC2 machine also. So let's do it. I will select it. Click on next. Okay. 7 October EC2 DynamoDB full access we have created up and create a role. It's not possible to have that with the same name. I think I've clicked twice. That's why. Okay, already exists. Fine. It's created up. 7 October. Okay, EC2 full access. Now, I'm going to create an EC2 machine. I'm going to create a EC2 machine which is there. And then I'm going to attach it to the DynamoDB. So I'm going to create an EC2 machine. So let's go ahead and create an EC2 machine here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I will go and attach this IAM role to the EC2 machine. Can you tell me how we can do it? IAM roles is not billable, so you don't have to really worry about it. Srinivasan asking that can we delete IAM roles immediately after the session? Is it billable? It is not billable. But can you tell me how I can attach the IAM role to a EC2 machine? Okay. So see, what I can do is I can right click on the machine. Okay, I can right click on the machine. In the security, I can modify the IAM role. In the security, we can modify the IAM role. Or else you can select the machine, go to security and modify the IAM roles here. Okay, modify the IAM role. Here, you will say 7th October. Where is that role? Yeah, 7 October. See, 7 October EC2 DynamoDB full access. I have will select this role. I've already created this role and I will select 7 October DynamoDB full access and I will update the IAM role. Okay. You cannot update multiple IAM roles to a single machine. In this particular case, you just need to add up the permission to the same IAM role which is being added up, right? Other IAM role will also have some specific permissions, right? So you can add it up in a single IAM role only. There is no point of attaching multiple IAM roles because IAM roles you can add multiple permissions on. Now, I will be connecting to the machine. Scroll down and connect. I will be writing sudo su, which will give me the super user access. Now, here, I will have to first install the AWS CLI. Okay, then I will directly be able to do read and write operations. The first thing which we are going to do is we will install the AWS CLI command line interface. We will install the AWS CLI in the machines so that I can write AWS related commands so that my machine can talk to AWS. And then, okay, then we can directly move or we can just directly write the AWS S3 DynamoDB command. Oh, sorry, AWS DynamoDB command so that I can interact with the DynamoDB itself. Okay. I hope you're understanding. Now, I will be installing the AWS CLI. So we will write AWS CLI installation. Okay, we will see that we have a AWS CLI installation. Okay, so we have a question coming up that with the Cloud Shell, we can directly do it, right? But if you write AWS, no, it will give you an error message that AWS is not found. That's a problem. That's the reason we need AWS CLI. And after we install CLI, whenever we write AWS, it will understand that this command is related to AWS. So I need to communicate with some AWS account. So it will go and check some permissions which is already attached. So it will understand that I need to talk to the DynamoDB as a resource. So for that particular reason, we need to install the AWS CLI command line interface so that we can talk to AWS directly via the Cloud Shell. Otherwise, this like it will be Cloud Shell only, but we will have that functionality added up, which says my Cloud Shell will understand what exactly is AWS is all about. Right now, you can see when I write AWS or if I write anything, any command, AWS S3 LS. See, AWS is not found. So we need to install something, right? So that it is able to find the AWS. These commands will not work actually. Okay. So you have to install the AWS CLI by going to Google and write AWS CLI installation. You will go to the first link. Okay. Now scroll down. Linux. Okay. I will copy this command. I will open the notepad. I will put it there. Okay, one by one, I'm going to copy it. You're going to do an unzip. Unzip is also not found. How can I install the unzip? apt install unzip. Yes. So here you will see the installation commands. So I will write apt install unzip, which will unzip or which will install the unzip package in this machine. Okay. Now I have installed this unzip package. Now I will be unzipping this. I will unzip this AWS CLI version 2.zip file. It opens the link. Let's say curl www.google.com. So we have a question. What does a curl command exactly do? It opens a link. Okay. So whenever we are using a curl command, it will open a specific link. Let's say, for example, curl www.google.com. So it will open that output for me, Ernest. Now we have unzipped the directory and you will see there is a AWS directory which is created up. I need to execute the installer file. So I can copy this command. I can paste it here and it will install the AWS CLI. Okay. wget will install. Okay. I think the question was out of the thing which I was explaining. I don't know how it came in between, but yeah. Curl is different. Curl is used to open some link and wget will download the content of the link. Let's say there is some software which is there in on that link. You will use wget command. Okay. Second argument does what in the link, please? This one. See, what it will do is whenever you do a curl, it will download a zip file for you. Zip, normal zip file. You can unzip that file with this command. So what will it will do is, okay, you got it, right? You can actually use, they have put it not in a very correct way. It should be wget here. Should be wget. Because it would be a downloader only, no? That's why it's downloading, but here you should be using wget only because curl is majorly used for opening a link. Let's say if I do a curl www.google.com. So it will open the content of Google for you. Okay, so many things are there in that Google, no? So it will open that content for you, curl. Okay, so that is what happens. And it might be a link which is directly download that zip file. So that's the reason they have used curl also. But the correct statement, it should always be using wget there. Now, at this point, okay, no problem. That is perfect. At this point, we have installed the AWS as well. Now, if I write AWS, see it understand AWS. It is asking me that there is some argument which is required. Like after AWS, there should be some command that need to be there. But now it is able to understand. It is not telling you that what is AWS. Install AWS via this thing. That will not be there anymore because we have installed AWS CLI, which will integrate with the Cloud Shell itself. Not the Cloud Shell, basically with this, with the Bash terminal. Sorry, I'm sorry if I have used the word Cloud Shell before also. It's the Bash terminal. Okay. So now here I need to now talk to the DynamoDB. I need to now talk to the DynamoDB. So we can do a read and write operations on the DynamoDB. There's a simple command which is there. Okay. So we will use that command. AWS DynamoDB. You will scan table name. What was the table name which we are scanning? My table name was production Netflix table. This is a table name which is there. I will give you the notes, nothing to worry about. So I will be scanning the table with the name table name, a production Netflix table, and then it will be present in the region. In which region this is table is present in? North Virginia, which is US East 1. From where I got it? I got it from here, US East 1. So I'm scanning. Scanning means to read. So I'm telling AWS DynamoDB to scan, which means read the table with this name. This is a table name which we want to read. Table name for which we want to read the contents. Want to read the contents. And this is a region where this table is present. Simple press enter. You don't have to remember these commands. I'm teaching at little more advanced level. That's why I'm teaching all this stuff to you. So this items is there. Okay, these are the items which is being present up. See, already these two items were there. Big Bang Theory, if you remember, and another one was the Friends. So Big Bang Theory, I've written that serial number 1, seasons 10's Big Bang Theory, right? So I can read the data with the scan, which is already present in my DynamoDB. So if you see in my DynamoDB, there were already two data which were there. When you click on the explore table items, you will see there is two existing data which is being present up. So I'm reading this data from this machine via the scan command. Okay. Similarly, I want to push some data. I want to put some data here. So I will say it just got hanged. Okay, not hanged. AWS DynamoDB put item table name. What was the table name? My production something. Production Netflix table. I want to put some data in this. Region is US East 1 item. What is happening? I'm not able to type in the bracket. I will say, let's say, serial number. I'm not able to type anything here. I will just use Notepad. Item. I will say serial number bracket. Okay, serial number was string actually. In our case, we have used it as string. Let's say 3. Serial number is mandatory. Okay. Then we have the next thing is, let's say, name of the show, which is, let's say, string. The Vampire Diaries. Okay. Which is, again, I'm going to close it up. Then I will say any other entry, let's say, let's say, let's have 2 entries only. I will close this and I will close this bracket. So basically, I'm putting it in the bracket and whatever I need it, I'm putting it in this way. Double quotes, the name, column name, colon, what exactly the type is string or numeric. Since I have set the serial number as a string while creating the DynamoDB, I will be using S only here. 3 is the number and the name. So I will just copy this and I will paste it here. It need to be taken care by my developer. I am showing it to you. Okay. But your developer will take care of it. Now you will see there should be one more entry. Let's see. The Vampire Diaries is also there. If I show you on the DynamoDB, if I scroll down and I will run it again, you will see the third entry is there, the Vampire Diaries. Okay. So you can do a read and write, which is there. Okay. I hope you're understanding. Uh, these for this today's lab, you will not like you will not be charged anything. So really don't have to worry about it. Only for EC2 machine, you will have that billable. You can terminate your EC2 machine and your task would be done. Okay. If we have 1,000 entries, calling would be difficult, I think. No, this entries, you will not be checking the entries like this. It will be taken care by your developer. Developer will write a code, like developer deals with the JSON code only, no? So developer will write a code and the way he want to show it in the front end, the developer can show it. My task, you will never be going and checking it like this. You will go to, if you're checking it like this, you can go to this console only and check it. But if my application is there, my developer is getting the code and my developer can show the data. If someone is clicking on add button on the backend, we will have that put item content will be putting up. We are going to put that put item content. Okay. You cannot use SQL client. You cannot use SQL client here. So basically this I have shown you as a backend process. Your developer will configure it with the front end. Your developer will exactly configure it with the front end and your task is really reduced now, right? But like your developer will also be happy with your work. Will say, "Yeah, very nice." His all the tasks. This is actually done by developer only in the companies, but if you can do it, it's a good learning experience also for you. Okay. Now I will just upload the notes for you. Yeah, this one. I've uploaded the notes directly. The notes are there. You can directly follow these notes. Here it is. The notes are there for you. Terminate your machine after this lab. Okay. Go to items. Go to tables. Select the table. Go to delete and confirm the delete. It will ultimately the DynamoDB will not cost you anything, but still, if there are some charges at the end, you can avoid that. Okay, IAM roles will not cost you anything, so you can keep it like that. But the things which you have used, you can terminate those resources and you can save some of your billables. Any questions you have, you can ask. Otherwise, we can wind up for the day. Okay, guys, then I think we can wind up for the day. You can leave for the day, guys. Any questions, you can still ask. I'm here. Otherwise, we can wind it up. Please practice the DynamoDB lab as an assignment tomorrow. Okay, assessment tomorrow. Assignment. It's not an assessment, right? So let's meet tomorrow and we will work on some extra concepts. Okay. Can we get a day shifts and cloud jobs? I to work on a day shift only. Like my office starts at around 10. So I work on a day shifts only. I'm really not sure about US, how what is happening in the US culture right now, or I'm specifically talking about like, but I'm working for one of the MNCs, right? So I don't know. I work for one of the big uh, companies which have their headquarters in US only. So our office timing is a normal timing, 10 to 7. No, no, it will not be rotational. It's not, there's no requirement which is there, no? Yeah. Yeah, Apurv, please tell me. Others can please leave for the day. It's fine. Okay. You can leave for the day.